everybody. Larry, Fort Worth Memories Museum and Groups. And YouTube at Fort Worth Memories. It is Thursday, January 23rd. Let me see if I can find the live feed. I guess we're live on YouTube. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to style it. Hold on, I got to erase something. I don't know why that always is there. Today is Thursday. January 23rd. Okay, here we go. And we're going to share it to the internet, to memories, live videos. Okay. Still cool outside. Let me see if I can switch. There you go. It's still pretty cool outside. It's going to get up to, I think, 48 today. It's 29 right now. Of course, it's not going to get up to decent weather until noon. It's going to be 45 at noon. So we're going to have to get warmer weather before we can start detailing. Hope everybody's having a good morning. What have we got? We're eating at Zeke's out on Camp Bowie on Saturday at 1. Brittany's in. Diane is in. I'm telling everybody good morning, everyone. Francis is in. Bill's in. Ginger's in. Good morning. Okay, so today is a special day. It is to me. Brooke Rollins is going to be confirmed today. I think this afternoon, or it might be this morning. So we're going to try to watch that. Brooke is a member of our group, and she's very active in our bike giveaway. Great lady from Texas, and I'm glad to say a good friend of mine. She's the Secretary of Agriculture, that cabinet office. Okay, so my phone's on. Well, it's our friends from Cleburne. They're riding. She's riding. You're unlikely to survive cardiac arrest. I don't know what that was about. Aaron is in. Okay, what do we got from Cleburne? Larry can you walk us through? Tom was in. President Kennedy's arrival in Texas. I assume you're talking about 1963 and not 1960. He was here in 1960. He spoke at Burke Burnett Park. 63, yeah. Okay, so, I could talk about it for hours, but on November 21st at about 4:15, exactly at 4:15, the President and Mrs. Kennedy left Kelly Air Force Base in San Antonio and flew to Houston, where he gave a speech at the Rice Hotel. They departed Houston at 11:15 or 11:20 and flew to Carswell Air Force Base. There's all kinds of different stories. Some people say that the plane flew down low over the Hotel Texas because they had, with light bulbs, had spelled out, "Welcome to Fort Worth, Mr. President," or something to that nature. I don't know about that, but I do know for people that are my age or close, the downtown merchants would not turn on the lights highlighting the buildings until December, I think December 1st. But they did that so the buildings were lit, showing our skyline. But in any event, I have kind of verified that the plane did swoop down low over the downtown area and then landed at Carswell. The President was very friendly with people. He went against, it was a very difficult job for the Secret Service. They kind of had a long-standing rule that if the President was walking up to somebody to shake their hand or kiss the baby or whatever, that that person's both hands had to be visible to the Secret Service people. Well, that didn't work out. Kennedy was shaking hands with both hands and kissing babies and all of that. So he was a very difficult president to guard. So they then went to the motorcade went to the Hotel Texas, where there were several dignitaries there. Governor of Texas, Jim Wright, Lyndon Johnson was with the President. So they went to the Hotel Texas and then retired. It was room 850. So in the morning of November 23rd, 22nd, he did a outside speech on a parking lot that was owned by Tex Moncrief. And President Kennedy was Democrat and Tex Moncrief was not. And it took a lot of wrangling to get Tex Moncrief to say it's okay, the President can speak there. It was misting rain, so he spoke outside in front of, some people say 2,000, some people say 2,500, 3,000 people. Bill Paxton was there. I talked to Bill about that on 2 or 3 different occasions. Bill was a huge supporter of the Fort Worth Memories Museum. So he did this speech, and then he came inside, and he was supposed to immediately come to the breakfast area area where there was another 2,000 people, but he went upstairs to his room and changed his jacket. He's the only person that was out there in the parking lot that didn't have a raincoat on. Everybody else had rain gear. Now that's people that were out there, Secret Service and dignitaries. Probably in the crowd there was people without a raincoat. But so President Kennedy goes upstairs and speaks with his wife a little bit. She's getting ready, and hold on, I'm getting to it. Somebody wants to know why she was so late. So then he goes down to the area where the breakfast is and comes into the room through the kitchen. I find this kind of hard to believe. The Secret Service thought that was the safest place. We all know 6 years later his brother gets killed going through the kitchen of a hotel. But anyway, so then Raymond Buck, who's the chairman, president of the Chamber of Commerce, goes into a very long introduction of all the dignitaries there. Jim Wright, Ralph Yarborough, Kennard, all of them. Lyndon, his wife, everybody had their wives there. So they do that, and then Raymond Buck presents the president with a Stetson hat that Fort Worth's known for because of Mr. Amon Carter Sr. that came from Washer Brothers, and the president does not put it on. Raymond Buck, he hands it back to Raymond Buck, and he actually puts it on and then gives it back to him. They were both given, later as this thing goes on, John Justin gave President Kennedy a pair of boots, and Jackie. So the people are wanting to know why Jackie was late. She wasn't late. She was late being there, but that's because she was told to wait in the room and nobody summoned her. Nobody went for her. So she's actually wondering, well, what's going on? She calls downstairs to the desk, and they said, Mrs. Kennedy, what's the problem? Well, I'm waiting on somebody to come get me to take me down to the breakfast. So by the time they pass that message along, then she comes into the room. The Texas Boys Choir had already sang. The only song they're supposed to sing is "The Eyes of Texas Are Upon You." Mrs. Kennedy's late, so the people that are trying to keep things coordinated told the choir conductor for the Texas Boys Choir, sing another song, we're trying to fill in for... So anyway, then the president speaks, and he really praises Fort Worth for our military might, for all of the defense plants. He talks about World War I, we trained pilots to fight in World War I. He talks about the helicopters used in the Vietnam War. He really emphasizes on the B-58, but he talks about the B-25, the Liberator, talks about the B-36, he talks about the B-52, says all of those are built right here. Then the B-58, he says, is the fastest airplane on the planet. Goes 1,000 miles an hour. That plane actually, for some reasons, did not get as much recognition as it should have. I think they kind of scrapped it after a while, and different aviation enthusiasts, Tom Reynolds is one, can probably at some point tell me the reason that plane did not go over as big as other planes. Greg and Don are in. Good morning. Bonnie's in. Lynn's in. Marilyn is in. Rose is in. Dana is in. David is in. a big crowd. So then the motorcade then leaves the hotel to go to Carswell, go back to Carswell. Then they fly to Love Field, and within leaving the hotel within 2 hours, the president is dead. They left at 10:35. It lands in Dallas at Love Field at 11:20. This next part is, I researched it a lot. The Secret Service agents, once the president's car, the open air car, is in the car along with Governor Connally, the Secret Service runners on the outside of the vehicle start to go, and one of the Secret Service agents goes like this, so he told him to stand down. Kennedy had told Allen Dulles, who was the head of the CIA, that in a short order he's going to rework the CIA, and Allen Dulles was no longer going to be part of it. What else? What kind of boots? I don't have any idea. I don't know of anybody that's got a picture. Of course, the president never put them on, nor the hat. Where is that hat? I don't know that either. I'm sure it's probably in a museum or Smithsonian or somewhere. But I don't know what skin the boots were. And you know what? John Justin was a good customer of mine, and we visited many times about history, and I never did ask him that. I should have. The hat came from Washer Brothers, which Washer Brothers was around in Fort Worth in the 1800s. How long did it rain? It had misted all morning, and so that kind of delayed stuff. But a lot of people try to knock Jackie Kennedy and say that she was late getting ready or whatever. That none of that's true. She was never summoned until she called downstairs and said, "Hey, somebody needs to come get me and take me down to the breakfast." So does that answer your... Well, it was delayed about 20 minutes. And one thing that threw it off about 10 or 15 minutes was the president went back upstairs and got a different suit coat on, a different jacket, because the one he was wearing was soaking wet. So that delayed things about 10 or 11 minutes. Then they left Jackie sitting in the room waiting. She was admiring all of the artwork that our Fort Worth ladies had gone around and got all these expensive statues and paintings and all of that. They didn't want the room to just be a plain Jane room, but it was a plain Jane room. So yeah, that's how all that took place. But so after leaving here, the plane lands in Dallas at 11:20. At 1 o'clock, they said he was dead. So Bob Schiefert was working for the Star-Telegram at the time, who went on to be a famous reporter. He was, if you see a picture of Bob Schiefert back in those days and Amon Carter Jr., you'd think they were twins. They really looked alike, and they were good friends. Okay, so does that take care of your room 850? I do. I have 14 serving chafes where they had a little fire underneath them from the Hotel Texas that when I bought them, was told they were in the serving line. I've got one of them here on display, and it says Hotel Texas on it. But I own 14 of them for several thousands of dollars. The issue that you're probably talking about was Ralph Yarborough hated Lyndon, and so when they're outside in front of the hotel getting ready to go to Carswell to get on a plane and go to Dallas, Ralph Yarborough walks up to the president and says, "I am absolutely not riding in that car with Lyndon." And so Jack Kennedy, he always wanted to throw digs at Lyndon. They hated each other, Lyndon and President Kennedy, and the wives also. Jack said, and I've got this verified from two people that were standing there that are no longer with us. President Kennedy turned around to Ralph Yarborough and he said, "You can either get in that rented limousine," and he said it loud enough for Lyndon to hear it, because the president's limousine was owned by the United States. The limousine that Lyndon was in was rented, and he said, "You can either get in that rented limousine and ride to the airport, or you can walk to the airport. I don't care." And he got in the car. So there was a big brouhaha between Lyndon and Ralph Yarborough. Really, Ralph Yarborough and a lot of politicians in Texas. And I often talk to Jim Wright about it. Jim Wright was there, and Kennedy really gave him a praise, saying that he was the voice of the state of Texas and for the country, the United States. And you know, the last 2 years of, really about the last 26 months of Jim Wright's life, I called him or he called me almost every day. He loved the stories. And he was a great man. This airport out here, DFW, would not be called DFW, it'd be called Dallas International, had it not been for Jim Wright. He forced him to make it DFW Airport. He was a good guy. Very dear friend of mine. I asked him one time, I said, "Jim, is there any of y'all that go to DC that are honest?" He kind of snickered and said, "Larry, they stack the money so high you can't pole vault over it." Then he said, "Get rid of the special interest groups and you might have a chance." And he's exactly right. Rose is in. We're eating at Zeke's off Camp Bowie. That's, I think, Curzon is the actual street. Sam is in, Randy's in, Dub is in, Janie is in, Candace is in, and we've got 36 from the South Texas group, and 17, 42, 52 people at 7 o'clock in the morning. Linda's in. So we're eating at Zeke's, and I'm hoping that works. You know, with the stock show in town, our population probably doubles in this area. Francis is in. Good morning. Due to people coming for the midway or whatever, I still haven't heard from any of y'all. If you're interested, on Thursday a week from now, it's TCU Day at the stock show, the fairgrounds. So if you wear a purple t-shirt, cap, anything that says TCU, you get in free. And so I've figured out that people can park. I'm going to have to get with Rex Benson, because there's not going to be that many. Rex owns Rex's Bar and Grill and Old South. but the parking that's down near University, we can park there, get on the bus. Benny's gonna tell me what bus we need to get on, and it'll go straight down University to right across from Will Rogers, and we get off there, go to the stock show, the Midway. So it's only going to cost us what, $3 or $4 for the parking and nothing to get in. So I think it's pretty reasonable, seeing how they're charging $35 to park anywhere around the deal. So, but we're going to have to do it kind of mid-morning, because I want to be out of here back at my office, or I can come back. Y'all can get on a bus and leave whenever and go back to Old South and get your car and go home. How many people were what? The speech outside lasted about 32 minutes. They estimated at 2,000. I don't think it was 2,000. It was misty rain. I talked to Bill Paxton about it. He was a youngster, but he remembered it very well, and he didn't think there was 2,000. Bill kind of thought there was like 1,000. Well, the big problem was Tex Moncrief owned the flat parking lot, and when they first said, hey, and the president's going to give an outside speech, yada, 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 and he said, not on my property, period. That's what he said. He held on for, came down to where the day before, a couple of days before, he finally relented and said, okay. I don't know. I've got a recording, or you can Google or search engine the speech inside the Hotel Texas. I don't think there's any recording of the speech outside. Chad's in. Good morning to all of y'all. The speech inside was very, very pro Fort Worth. It really recognized our citizens, our ability to, we were the military hub. You had LTV, General Dynamics, Bell Helicopter, all of these manufacturing plants that built all the warplanes for sure. And he brought up the F-111. He brought that up, and he said that the F-111 was going to save the country $1.5 billion, because both Army, Air Force, and Navy can use that plane, and you don't have to build separate planes for different branches. Jackie, that was a pink Chanel dress. That dress, where is it? It's at the it's in the archives, the National Archives. They never cleaned it. Emma's in. They never cleaned it, so that big, huge blood stain, I'm sure, is eaten through the material by now. It was wool. No, she left it on. She said she turned around to her Secret Service protection guy and said, I want them to see what they did to Jack. Jackie had a hatred for Texas. You can't blame her. I mean, it was just a horrible deal. I mean, the whole thing. But people always, my uncle was on the Warren Commission, the photographic expert, Jack White. If you want to see his stuff, he proved the backyard photo with the gun and the rifle with Lee Harvey was fake. So you go on YouTube and you put JFK or Jack White /JFK, and you'll see all of his stuff. Him and Jim Mars were probably the two biggest conspiracy theorists anywhere. Jack devoted his life to it. Yeah, you're asking about the headstone. The headstone that's on the internet a few years ago from some bar owner up in the Midwest or Northeast had rubies and all this stuff. That was never on any grave of Lee Harvey. The actual headstone, when his mother died up here in Arlington Heights, they had an auction. I was one of the people that went, and I was going through the closet, and she had a piece of carpet down where she had her shoes and stuff, and I moved that piece of carpet, and there was picked the board up and a crawl space for people. That's where people, service people, gas people, electric people, water people, they had to go underneath the house to fix stuff. That's where the marker was. I found it. And it was broken in half. And I told the auctioneer, and they put it on, and I think I had $4,000 in my pocket, and it went for more than that. Yes. He actually lived on the corner of Mercedes and Carroll. That was the house the CIA went to and arrested him at one point and took his diary. It's now bulldozed. What's the name of that? Fellowship Church bought that house and lot, and it's part of a parking lot. But he lived over in the Linwood Addition. Now this is after he was an adult. He went to Lily B. Clayton in the elementary, went to Arlington Heights High School, not sure where he went to middle school or junior high. They moved around a bunch. Well, he actually had a job downtown, so he would leave his house. If you're familiar with Carroll Street and Montgomery Wards and all of that, he would leave his house, walk 30 feet to Carroll Street, take a right, and would walk 3 blocks to 7th Street. And if he was going to visit his mother up in Arlington Heights, he would catch the bus on the north side of the street. And if he was going downtown, he had a job downtown, he would go on the south side of 7th Street and catch that bus going downtown. Here's our friend Bud Kennedy. Bud's an expert at this Kennedy stuff. Bud, do you have any idea what kind of boots that John Justin had given to Raymond Buck and them for President Kennedy and for Jackie? I asked John Justin about that. He used to come in my shop. I did a lot of detail work for Mr. Justin. But I don't think I've ever even seen a picture of them or where they would be. That cowboy hat is probably in the National Archives, I would imagine. No, the parking lot that he did the outside speech that's from our South Texas group. We've got 2 live feeds. That property was owned by Tex Moncrief. And I think it came down to the wire like the day before. He originally said no. He didn't say no, he said hell no. He can't have a speech on my property. But he relented, but the reason Jackie was late, y'all keep asking that, nobody went to get her. She wasn't summoned. She was ready. When the entourage, after the outside speech, the president was the only person that didn't have a raincoat. So he went upstairs. He said, "Let me change my jackets." He went upstairs, so that threw him off 10 or 12 minutes. And the reason I know this is because I talked to a couple of the people, the kids that were choir in the Texas Boys Choir. The only song they were supposed to sing was "The Eyes of Texas Are Upon You." So when they had the delay, even after the lengthy introduction of all of the dignitaries there, then I guess Raymond Buck or somebody told the choir guy at Texas Boys Choir sing another song. And Mrs. Kennedy, now I've been told this from some people that should have known, she called downstairs to the desk and said, "How come nobody's come up here to get me? I'm ready." So it was not her that delayed her being presented. If that makes any sense. Missy's in. Well, within 2 hours, they landed in Dallas at 11:20, I think. 1 o'clock, he was dead. Well, the other day, I said that they quit recognizing that room, and then I messaged the expert, Bud Kennedy, and I said, so the hotel went through different changes. It was owned by different corporations, and I think Bud and I, at some degree, they've all recognized the room. It's no longer 850. It's, I don't know, 4-digit room now. But at the very first, the Hotel Texas, they definitely, I don't know, Bud might know that. Did they start renting that room out again immediately, or how long was the mourning period? I know it was a plain Jane room, except for the fact that some of our ladies here, socialites, went around and got Picasso's, stuff I don't even know anything about, expensive statues and stuff like that. They dolled up the room because they didn't want it to just be a plain Jane room. But if you use your search engine and look at Suite 850, the room that they stayed in the last night of his life, you'll see it is just a plain Jane room. But I mean, everything back then was plain Jane. It was no fancy stuff. He lived at the corner. That house was on Mercedes and Carroll. Was it Mercedes? Yeah, Mercedes and Carroll. And so he would just walk down Carroll Street to 7th Street. If he was going to his mother's in Arlington Heights, he would catch the bus on the north side of the street. If he was going downtown, which he had some type of job downtown Fort Worth, then on the south side of the street. So they still, and I was told by one of our members that they still recognize that. Larry is in. You know, really we could have I've kind of had the idea of having some people like Bud or somebody, historians, we could have kind of like a forum or a round table over here and talk about stuff like his last time in Fort Worth and such as that. I know those tickets, my grandfather had 5 or 6 of them. I've still got them. They were just a long white ticket. You can find them on eBay every once in a while for thousands of dollars for the breakfast. Yeah, they called him Shutterbug. He always wore a camera around his neck. I guess that stuff was kind of in our family. Jack White was at his height of notoriety. He was one of the best experts of black and white photos in the world. And him and Jim Mars, they So if you want to see Jack's stuff, go to YouTube and put Jack White /JFK, and there's 24 videos. He proves, or he shows where the Zapruder film was not even right, and he does it frame by frame. There was more than one. I think Jack said there was 4 or 5 videos done that day. Where was the Lincoln that Lyndon, who, somebody told me a story one time, that was a car dealer in Fort Worth or something, the one Lyndon rode in. But I know for a fact, Jim Wright told me that when they were departing the Hotel Texas, Ralph Yarborough walked up to the president, because Ralph Yarborough hated Lyndon. So did Kennedy, really. He walked up to President Kennedy and said, "I am absolutely not riding in that limousine with LBJ or with Lyndon." And Jack Kennedy always liked to throw a dig into Lyndon, and he said, "Ralph, you can either ride in that rented limousine or you can walk to Dallas. I don't care." And he got in the other limousine and left. Kimbra is in. I've got 14 of those serving chafes, dishes, whatever. They're silver. They're all Hotel Texas. And I was told from who I bought them from that they were in the serving line. And I paid a lot of money for them. There's 2 or 3 of them in the museum here. But if you ever get a hold of one of those tickets, those are worth a lot of money too. They didn't tear them in half. They just pitched them up there on a table when you were walking in, and my grandfather was one of the last people to walk out, and he just grabbed a handful of them. I ended up with 5 of them, and now other family members have some. I don't think Tex Moncrief was I'm sure he wasn't outside. Back in those days, everything was Democratic, the governor, the state. But President Kennedy, you can Google the speech at the breakfast. He really stands for Fort Worth. He talks about how great our defense might is and all of that. And of course, people say he had to have Texas to get reelected. But you can also, on the search engine, back in those days, the president's telephone calls were all recorded. I'm sure they knew that. But you can Google Lyndon's calls with Jacqueline or Bobby Kennedy, and he puts on this facade like he's really cares about them. He hated the Kennedys. Mary's in. The Duval County, the scandal of Duval County. Now that's Lyndon. I think they had already announced he didn't win the election, and an old farmer came up with a voting box, which I've got one I'm looking at. It says City of Fort Worth. It's just a silver box, no lock or anything. And this farmer came up in a stake bed truck, is what I was told, and said, "Hey, I found this voting box out there off the farm to market." All the votes were for Lyndon, and I think that reversed the outcome. No, he left Kelly Air Force Base, flew to Houston, spoke at the Rice Hotel that evening, then they flew to Fort Worth. Rick Irving, if y'all know Rick and his brother and his mother were there. Rick shook hands with President Kennedy. He was not an easy president to guard. There, even from McKinley getting shot back way before Kennedy, the Secret Service's rule of thumb was, if the president walks up to somebody to shake their hands, both of the hands of the other person have to be visible, or like if he had a handkerchief or something over his hands, they would not allow the president to walk up to him, but hell, he walked right up to the fence line. They had chain link fence there, and he was kissing babies and highfalutin everybody. I do not know that. It was not called Air Force One then. No, it did say the United States of America, but it was not called Air Force One. I think it was, I'll have to look that up. It was a number like XB2200 or something. I don't know that either. That was the ladies, the high society ladies in Fort Worth. They got together and went to different prominent families and got, statues or busts or something, artwork, real expensive stuff. Okay, so, alright, so again on the 30th, a week from today, is TCU Day at the stock show. You got to wear something purple that says TCU, and y'all, we can park. Everybody can meet over here, or at. I'll talk to Rex Benson. I'm sure he'll let us park on that the part of the parking lot closest to University. Then we catch that bus and go down to right across the street, right by Farrington Field. Get off right there at Lancaster, and just walk into the fairgrounds. Kent. That sounds fine. I don't do as much public speaking as I used to. I just do it. I'm live every day, 4 or 5 times a day. Well, the reason is I can't stay awake past 7:30. 7:30, my eyes closed, period. It's been that way for 40 years. So anyway, but, everybody's complaining about the parking price being $35. It'll cost us absolutely less than $5. I don't know what that bus ticket is, but we'll be able to park free at Rex's place. And we get into the Midway free for wearing a TCU cap or t-shirt or something. So then there's no reason to complain. You can go visit the exhibits. The only thing that moved to Dickey's is the rodeo. Everything else is at Will Rogers. And y'all can stay over there. Henry's saying you can stay all day if you want. I'm going to get on the bus to ride back to get my truck by 2 o'clock, because if I'm late, if I wait till 2:30 or 3, getting back to where I live on 199 is a disaster. I mean, it takes me being 30. If I leave here at 2:30, it takes me an additional 45 minutes usually get to Springtown. Kelly Air Force Base, and the hotel he spoke at in Houston was Rice Hotel. Okay, so I've got that big speaking event, Kent, in just west of Springtown. I've been speaking to that company for many years, and he built me a stage, an enclosed stage in case of training, and I do Q&A, questions and answers, and he pays me a lot of money. Well, today Brooke is going to get, my big deal is watching Brooke get confirmed. Brooke and I are good friends. She's always at my bike giveaway. She used to office 50 feet from me. They moved over to the bank building over there off 7th, because they're going to build their new building where that Ray Ingert photography place is, or was, on 7th. And strangely enough, that property, I showed Kyle and them. I said, that property that y'all own, it used to be the Free Baby Hospital in 1914. It was at 2400 Winton Terrace West. And they're going to build their new offices there. But no, Brooke's a great lady. I've got lots of pictures. At the last bike giveaway, which was December, Mayors Moncrief, Betsy, and Maddie were all there. Brooke was there. Charlie Guerin, he's on my board. Carlos Flores, Michael Crane. We had a lot of people there. Yes. Parking is 20. I've heard people say it was, I think it was 17 or 20 last year. Some people said it's 35 now. But still, if it's 20, it's much easier to park right here at Old South. And I need to verify that through Rex. I'm not going to even say that. We can park over here at my place, but everybody will have to be back by, come back with me at 2, or their car will be locked in. So we could park right here and catch the bus on University, just walk down Collinsworth. So either way, and you get in free to the Midway by wearing a TCU, and it can't just be a purple like these sweaters I sell of Fort Worth Memories. That's purple, but it's got to say TCU, is what I've been told. I'm going over there to eat today or tomorrow. He is serving lunch now at Rex's Bar and Grill. God, he built a patio deal back there that seats a couple hundred people. So we're going to have our birthday party there this year and our boxing in Cowtown program. The only champion that does not come, has never come, is Paulie. I don't have a reason why he doesn't. He's been invited to every single one of them. Don Curry, Gene Hatcher, who else? Stevie Cruz, they always come. All of the boxers come from back then. This will be the 11th, no, last year was the 11th, 12th year. And it'll be at Rex's Bar and Grill. You ought to go over there, it's nice. He really did it in. So if you pull in that parking lot over there, you're either eating or drinking with Rex Benson, because he owns Old South and then Rex's Bar and Grill, which was the old macaroni grill. Then there's Old South in Burleson, but they're not 24/7. They close at like 10 o'clock at night. Okay, so let's do the sponsors. Don't forget to bring your puppies inside. There's our prayer request. There's the bring us inside. Yes, we are worldwide. We're in 141 countries. Winstead Paint and Body. Clay has been sponsor of our group and active in our bike giveaway for years. Scott Sumner's my IT guy. He builds websites or any kind of technical stuff you need, and he works cheaper than all these other folks. Alpha Design and Build, that's Lance Sanders. He'll remodel something for you, or he'll put a second story on your house or business. Michael Resendez is in, Donna's in, Kathy's in. That's January 30th, next Thursday. Casey Kroll is our Medicare and Medicaid group. Early enrollment's already done, but you can call them and they'll either come to you or you can go to them. James is in. That is no longer a sponsor. Schwartz and Hanson, Jerry Schwartz, they've been active on my bike giveaway forever, and they're a sponsor on our group. There's Rex's Bar and Grill. That's really a neat place. You need to go over and look at it. The patio out there seats a couple hundred people. Raines Plumbing, family-owned business. If you need a plumber, we've had a lot of our members give a lot of great reviews. Charlie Guerin, Railhead Barbecue. Charlie is on my board at Larry's Kids, sponsor and active in the giveaway every year. Passport Getaways, if you want to take a cruise or go see the Eiffel Tower, let them do the legwork for you. The Optimist Club of Fort Worth, I'm going to get Jeff Norman in here. They do a lot of good stuff for youth. They also donate a tree for our museum here every year. Old South, that's another Rex Benson owned company. He gives us, that's where I've had boxing in Cowtown for 11 years. So we're going to move it to one of his other places. Let's see what's next. K Ranch Roofing, Jorge Hernandez, and Bree. If you call to make an appointment, if you think you got roof damage, don't go get a ladder and crawl up there. You'll fall and break your neck. Let them come out. They'll give you an estimate or tell you that your roof is fine and not charge you anything. Jenny Stewart is our State Farm insurance lady. Call and get a quote. You know, these insurance companies, they've jacked up this price so much. I know y'all have got to be the same as me. They've gone up in the last 2 or 3 years on my vehicles, $150 per vehicle. And if you got 40 of them, that's a lot of money. Cross Electric is a family-owned business, Brandon Cross. So if you need an electrician, Brandon is the person that I recommend. Fort Worth Lumber have been our sponsors for ever since I've been on the internet. Not when I was on MySpace, but ever since I've been on Facebook. And also very generous at our bike giveaway every year. Express Dent, Dick Regester opened that, and he's still the owner. About the same time I opened Classic 40 years ago. Dick lives in Florida now, but Eric is his operating partner. So if you got hail dings, door dings, any of that, go see them. They're at White Settlement and Carroll. Dickie Carr Sand and Gravel, that's Pat and Richard Carr. Very, very active in all things to do with the city. They wrote the first $5,000 donation for Larry's Kids last year, but we had several of them. Grateful for Your Trees, Curtis is in, Lisa's in. Grateful for Your Trees is Richard Carr's nephew, Dickie Carr. Anything to do with trees. You can see all that stuff he does. I've interviewed him several times. That young man's very energetic and he needs work. Steve Coburn, Coburn's Catering. I go back with the Coburns from 1960 something. They were started in 1946. Otha, Gary Coburn and I were good friends. Steve now is the operating Coburn. Burt Ladner Real Estate. Wes Williams is associated with that realtor. Wes is also on my board at Larry's Kids. We've got another realtor, Eric Walsh. Eric is also on my board at Larry's Kids. A Bird AC and Heating Inc. That's Dub Peacock. So if you've got issues with your central air or heat, you need to call them and let them come out. Of course, if you had problems with your heat, you move to a motel. I mean, God, it's cold out there. Okay, so again, y'all need to figure out if you want to go on that deal next Thursday. For a little money, we can ride the bus down there, walk around the Midway. If you want to go look at the exhibits, that's where Buck Taylor will be. New cars or trucks, tractors are all over there. David Blake is in, Mike is in. So you just need to figure out if that's what you want to do. I'll talk to Rex Benson today and get that set up. I'm sure Rex will allow us to do that. So that's next Thursday. That's free day on the Midway and the exhibits, TCU day. So all you're going to spend is a little money for bus fare, and then whatever you eat over there, if you want to go ride the Tilt-A-Whirl or whatever. I did detail work for Bob Watts Sr., Bob Jr., Brad Barnes. I have not done a vehicle for Matt yet, Betsy's son-in-law. There's Ginger. I don't know. Wes said the other day that You Gotta Believe is #2 on Netflix. I know one thing, Wes is on that board for filming in Fort Worth or whatever. Maddie has been real good about trying to get more of that here, and of course Sheridan Taylor has all that stuff here, so we owe that gentleman, a Paschal graduate, a lot of thanks for that. Yeah, Buck is not getting any younger. Buck has got to probably be 81 or 2, I would imagine. At the old museum on West 5th, I had a Buck Taylor wall. Buck and I go way, way back. I've got a bunch of his originals here in the museum. Buck and Goldie, great people. Buck is the only one left out of that Gunsmoke days. If you ever sit him down and listen to the story how all that got started, it's fascinating. Okay, so some of y'all keep wanting me to do more interviews with Rusty Arnold, who's the brother of Rachel, the 3 missing girls. There's just nothing. There's nothing there. There's only one piece of evidence, and that's a letter and an envelope, and that's it. I've researched that thing. Y'all have for this last December 23rd was the 50th anniversary. There's just, I don't know how else to. He won't allow some people that are related to be in the same room as him, so I did those 2 interviews. And a lot of people, one of them was watched 20 or 30,000 times. There's a lot of questions that are. I asked him about the DNA on the stamp, and he said no, wouldn't really tell me why there's no DNA. I've talked to people that worked at, in fact, Sam McNeese is on here. He worked for the post office all his life. He said there's DNA on that stamp. Rusty said there's not. I don't think anybody's ever really interviewed Tommy Trelisa. That's who I would interview. The deal with the 3 cars out at Benbrook Lake, I never did understand how that was significant. In fact, Rusty said that it was somebody had told him that those cars, maybe the bodies are in them, and then before they actually drug them up, or drug two of them up, that person said, well, maybe that's not true. So then why did y'all go to the expense of dragging them up? And he said there was only three vehicles in that whole lake. Well, that's ridiculous. Benbrook Lake it'd take you months to, just some of the stuff is just not believable. I'm not saying anything about Rusty. I'm just saying some of that stuff. I had a member who she's now deceased. She died in 2022, and I've got all of the text messages. She was a caseworker for either Fort Worth or Tarrant County, and she said that she was out at that house, Rusty's house, at least once a month or every other week. So I just don't know where else to go with it. If we could there's a group of people in East Texas Marshall that are related, but were born after the fact, but know some information, and Rusty he won't respond to any questions they have. So I don't know. I just don't think we can go anywhere else with that. I think it'll always be a mystery. There's no way that they're still alive. The cold case person, there's supposedly one person in cold case, and there's 1,000 cases. How could that one person do anything? How could they research anything? They got to answer the telephone. So I think it's just it's a horrible thing that happened here. I personally think it had to be somebody they knew. Back in the 60s, the girls that were teenagers, some of them were as tough as the guys, as us boys, and trying to get three, the youngest one was 9 and then 14 and 17, trying to corral 3 of those girls to go somewhere that they don't want to go, that ain't happening. Unless it was an authority figure like a police or I think it was somebody they knew. My deal is somebody pulls up and says, hey girls, your mom just had a car wreck, y'all pile in, we're going to go over to the hospital. And maybe had another person in the front seat of the car, and they turn around with a gun. And it's the only thing I can figure out, because those 3 young girls somebody's going to run if you're just trying to carouse them in a parking lot. I don't think it'll ever be solved, really. But if y'all, if somebody's got some information, we'll be happy to interview them. Rusty comes to some of our lunch club meetings, and he's game for another interview. But we've talked about everything, I think. Caroline is in. We could do that. We can do an assassination deal. Y'all know there was 2 assassination committees formed. The one in 78 or 79, they said that it was a conspiracy. They just didn't know who the players were. My opinion, Lyndon Johnson had to have known. But, I always tell people, there was a list a mile long. The pro-Castro, the against Castro. On the day that the president was killed, it was announced at 1 o'clock, 1:05, he was dead. At 12 o'clock that day in New Orleans at a federal courthouse, they did not deport Carlos Marcello. He had already been deported once by Bobby Kennedy and just dropped off in a jungle. So the mob definitely wanted all of them out. The story I've all been told is they helped, Joe Kennedy was the father, they helped get Jack elected if he would get the Attorney General off their back. Well, the first thing Jack did was appoint Bobby the Attorney General of the United States. So there was all kinds of people wanted him. It's just hard to believe, but you know, if you figure it's just one person and a guy that's not really educated or anything, well, the biggest terrorist act that's ever happened on our soil was done by 19 guys from another country with box cutters. I mean, so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that people with not much planning can do that also. John Penn is in, Welton is in. I'll be here till 1. Rosie will be back. We've made a deal. Just got to wait till it warms up a little bit. She'll work Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday, not Tuesday. She's working at her sister's restaurant or something on Tuesday. She lost everything. Yeah, it was sad. Okay, so y'all keep in mind, if you want to go, Ginger, you want to go out to the stock show on the 30th, that's next Thursday. I can get you there real cheap. It's going to cost you less than $5 to get in and park and the whole deal. But you got to wear something that says TCU purple. Go buy a TCU hat. But you can't just wear a purple sweater. If it doesn't say TCU, you ain't getting in free. You can buy those caps for $10-15, I imagine. Is Gary Patterson coming back to TCU? I saw that. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. No, I saw it. John, what's the temperature like up there in Minnesota or Michigan, wherever you're at? Hey, Brittany, is Brittany on here? Brittany, could you call Zeke's and tell him we're coming at 1? Glad to see our friend Bud Kennedy on here. There's Curtis Butts. Hadn't seen you in a month of Sundays. Phil Alpha and the Mystics. Spencer's Corner. It's much warmer today, he says, 14 degrees. Yeah, but y'all are used to it. That's what I say. All the people from up north that are on our group say, y'all are a bunch of pansies, you can't stand. Well, y'all come down here and get some of this 105 or 106 with a lot of humidity and see how y'all like that deal. We don't like the cold. Every once in a while, about every 3 or 4 years, if it snows, that's good. Kids get to get out of school, we get to take time. Lisa, I don't know. We're going to have somebody run a committee and see. I'll do my part. I'll get a hold of Rex today and see if we can park over there. We'll have to get with Benny. I'll send Benny a note to find out what bus we actually have to get on. We have to check that. So, Lisa, you or Ginger or Brittany or whoever can help form we need to get the exact bus route, what time that bus leaves over here, and then all you got to do is have something purple that says TCU, and we got to get approved by Rex to park in that parking lot. And if that doesn't work, we can park over here, but you'll have to leave here by 2. Yep, the heat was brutal down there, and that's for sure. Last summer we hit 93. Yeah, 93 is a walk in the park for us. Now 2021, that was brutal. We can do forums like on Saturday, whatever y'all want to talk about. We get some people that are knowledgeable. We're in 141 countries in every state in the United States. Yes, Brooke Rollins is getting confirmed today, and we're going to kind of have a little celebration party this weekend. She's a wonderful lady. She's at my bike giveaway every year. She wrote all the domestic policy for President Trump in his first term. She lives in the old Clark Mansion on Winton Terrace. I don't know about Pete. Pete's been right here in this museum. I don't know. I think all of his people are going to get confirmed is what they're saying. Did y'all see what the letter that President Biden left for Trump? I thought it was very good. He wished him well, and yeah, it was very good. What happened to President Biden can happen to every single one of us that are on here right now. So I don't, like Kay Granger, Kay and I have had our differences. She was my world history teacher. But you don't kick a person when they've got some kind of mental. I don't like that. And Kay Granger was great for Texas, for Fort Worth. She controlled the purse strings of the largest budget in the world. Brenda's in. Even when Trump, the day that Biden backed out on that Sunday, and Trump said what he said, that was wrong. I immediately said that you don't do that. Good morning. So I was thinking, Lisa, about maybe meet over there to catch the tent. You don't actually have to go with our group, but a group of us, I was thinking to leave. I just won't open that day, I guess, or leave here on University about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to come back about 1 or 1:30. I mean, that's plenty of time for, I don't even know what the weather's supposed to be next Thursday, does it go out that far? Next Thursday, wow, the low is only going to be 50 degrees. It's going to be 50 and the high is 60, but it's a 45% chance of rain. So, you know, when the stock show's in town, we get all this inclement weather. It's supposed to rain Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of that week, and Sunday of this week. On Larry's board, Larry's kids, nobody makes anything. It's 100% goes to the, yeah, nothing. I told everybody when we started it, if anybody thinks they're going to get a check or anything like that, you need to go somewhere else. Even the banks, there was 4 or 5 banks wanted that account, and I told them whoever writes the biggest check gets the bank. Pinnacle wrote the check. 100%. Even the startup for the nonprofit paid out of pocket. Yeah, everything that came in went to buying bikes, toys, or helmets. The first order we had was with Academy on Cherry Lane, 600 bikes. That was $40-something thousand. Then we bought another 200 bikes. We bought 1,000 helmets in Washington. But anyway, every penny of it goes. Got some great board members. Great. I'm going to add 2 or 3 more. Everybody that I added, I told them, you're not just being on here to be on the board. You either got to produce or you're not going to be on the board. Okay, so come by and shoot the breeze, whatever. And Lisa, do you want to, or Ginger, does somebody want to head up that deal for next Thursday and do the legwork on it? We need to find out what bus number it is that goes from University to Lancaster. Farrington Field, Lancaster, or there's another road that's cut through there. What's the name of that road? But you can go to Lancaster, then all we got to do is walk across University and walk 50 feet to where you get into the Midway, or the exhibits hall, all of that. So it's a real economical way, and we can eat at Coburn's. One of our sponsors, Steve Coburn's, got booths everywhere. So you can splurge a little bit on a barbecue sandwich, and because it's going to be high. I don't think there's any of us that are going to get on Tilt the World or Mad Max, so yeah, get you some cotton candy or something. And if it is raining or whatever, it's not going to be cold. It's going to be 60. We can go in the exhibits buildings. They got all kinds of neat stuff in there. No, the rodeo is at Dickey's. I fought 9 years. Well, not really. I started that picture on Boxing in Cowtown. That's me at 5 years old. But then when I got to be a teenager, I fought 9 years. Gloves and then open. In fact, Lon Evans had me. I was fighting Panther Boys Club, and Lon got me fighting Sheriff's Club. So the Boxing in Cowtown event and the birthday party this year will be at Rex's Bar and Grill. And we're probably going to do that Boxing in Cowtown event either April or May. Because none of these boxers are getting any younger. But last year we had Don Curry, Gene Hatcher, Stevie Cruz. I thought we had 4 champions last year. Who was the other one? Maybe we only had 3. Jay Strickland always comes. Like I say, Don comes. Last year, Paul Reyes didn't make it because he just got out of a rehab, and then of course he passed. Paul was a good friend of mine. He was a great guy. So yeah, it's always good to come see those guys, to listen to their stories. Boxing was a way out for a lot of us back then that were kind of going down the wrong path. And one reason is there's no high school division anymore, but also the newspaper doesn't promote it like Amon did. When Amon was there, and even Amon Jr., that was a big deal. It was a big deal. And the group now that owns the Star Telegram, they just, they're not. You know, 2 or 3 years ago, I did a speaking event on the last day of the state championship, and I drew a bigger crowd than the Golden Glove state championship did. You worked at where? At the Gibsons? That wasn't where Gibson's wasn't where Billy Bob's is. That was a Clark's, or what was the name of it? I don't think it was Gibson's. Maybe it was. Hell, I don't know. I thought it was Clark's, Clark's store. Yeah, we're going to start interviewing political people. Well, there's two. Gina Bivens is not running, and now we just found out Jared Williams, who I've interviewed many times, he's not running either. I don't understand why that is. But he, for some reason, is not running. So yeah, I know we'll have Jenny Stewart on. She's a sponsor on our group and active in our giveaway. And she's running against, I guess Elizabeth is going to run again. I haven't seen her. She's signed up, but they got to be signed by February 15th. Against Maddie, there's probably already 6 or 7, but I think Maddie's a great mayor. A lot of people say, well, she tries to straddle the fence. The mayor of Fort Worth is the mayor of all of Fort Worth, not just conservatives, Republicans, Democrats, liberals. It's for everybody. They have to take into consideration the public. Okay, boys and girls, it's been fun. What time is my evening show? Well, with this weather deal, we had some issues out there at the farm. I try to do it, the first one, at 4 o'clock in the evening. But like today, I'm stopping at the retirement center, the new one in Azle. I go out there every month and do about a 30-minute history deal. So I'm stopping out there today. Oh, I love it. I mean, there's a lot of people in these retirement homes, rest deals. I've spoken at all of them. It gives them something to do, you know. We always want to forget our older generation, and we're all older generation. I don't know what time she's going to get confirmed. I know she's going to get confirmed today. We're going to kind of have a little celebration this weekend. She's a great lady. She's the one that wrote the prison reform bill when Trump was in office before. Now she's going to be the agricultural secretary, or whatever you call that. I didn't know that there's a agricultural office for the federal government in every county in the United States. There's 100,000 people she's in charge of. And the budget was, I don't know how many billions of dollars. She'll be good. She's really a brilliant lady. Nice lady, nice. At the bike giveaway every year, I always get on Jody Dean because he hams it up with the kids and slows the lines down. Brooke Rollins and Maddie Parker did the same thing. That's why we had 4. One of my daughters is sending me what? That's the reason we had 4 lines this year. Because Jody, you know, he's going to ham it up with all the kids. He loves it. He's been Santa Claus now. I think that was his 4th year last year. But Maddie and Mike Moncrief was really into it. It was the first year for Mike. Of course, Betsy's always there. They all gave away bikes. Mike really liked it. Charlie Guerin really likes it. In fact, he got the Sid Richardson Foundation gave us $5,000. We had one lady that owns Lawrence's gift shop on Hewlin. She wrote a check for $10,000. But we had several $5,000 donations. It was the first year for the nonprofit. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta get stuff. We need a florist. I don't know why we can't get a florist. You know, I made a post about Roger's wife Hattie, and there's been 800, 900 people going there. A bunch of them people sent flowers. I don't know why we can't get a florist. I have no clue. Okay, I'm gonna go. I gotta turn the heater back on. Y'all stay safe, stay warm. Lisa, you or Ginger or Brittany or somebody, see if we can check out this bus schedule on Thursday the 30th. And I'll get with Rex this morning and see if that works. And if that doesn't work, with the stock show in town, he might need all that parking. We can park over here at the museum because there probably won't be but 4, 5, 6 cars. But at 2 o'clock, I'll be back here and I'll close that gate, and so your car will be locked in. So I bet Rex will let us do that. Rex is real flexible. Good guy. Okay, see y'all later.